Everybody, Tony and Lisa here from One Extraordinary Marriage, doing a Periscope. So we're going to get some stuff checked out. I mean, we're just learning this thing, so just want to welcome all you here today. We are going to be talking about the 3 reasons why your marriage needs the 7 days of sex challenge. All right, so love to just hear from where you guys are from, who's joining up here right now.
Kent Wine, we saw that you joined us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Welcome.
But make sure you can hear us and everything.
Is the audio okay?
We're here in sunny San Diego, so let us know where you're coming in from.
Master Royds, welcome.
Yeah, so we're gonna get this thing started here shortly. One thing we want to talk about though is for those that are joining in right now, everything is good, awesome. We have the #1 marriage podcast on iTunes, and one of the big things we talk about a lot is sex. And so we're going to just be upfront right now, right here, for Periscope folks, that inappropriate material towards us, towards others, we're going to just block you. It's just what it is. We talk seriously about this topic, and we want to just make sure that folks understand that this is a safe place for you to share. So you're just going to be blocked. It's all good. Thank you for joining us, those of you who are live with us right now, and for those that will be seeing this on the replay. We got some fun stuff that we're going to bring to you here today. Invite your friends. So if you're on an iPhone, you can swipe left or right, and you can invite your friends. Let them know about this. Hey, if you got other couples that you know that need to learn about the 7 Days of Sex Challenge, maybe you want to challenge them and they can challenge you. Hey, this is a great way to let them know about it, share about it. Android, swipe up. You can invite them that way. And sharing is caring. So tell your friends on Twitter and Facebook and Periscope as well. So who we are, I'm Tony.
I'm Elisa.
And like I said, we have the #1 marriage podcast on iTunes called the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. You can go check that out. As you know, we have listeners all over the world.
Absolutely. We're heard in over 180 countries, and it's because of platforms like Periscope and Twitter and Facebook, and obviously on iTunes where people are sharing and not just listening to the show themselves or listening to the scopes, but they're also sharing it with their friends, because the reality is that every relationship out there could use a little improvement, or some of them could use a lot of improvement, and that's what we aim to bring through everything that we do at One Extraordinary Marriage. Yep.
So we're going to jump in right now. So today is 3 reasons why your marriage needs the 7 Days of Sex Challenge. Let's hit it off.
Okay, so we want to make things simple at One Extraordinary Marriage, because there's so much that's been said about marriage being like this really complicated, doom and gloom type of thing. And there are really just 3 simple reasons why your marriage needs the 7 Days of Sex Challenge. And if you can remember the letters SEX, you're going to be great, because you're going to remember what all 3 of those things are. So the first reason why your marriage needs the challenge is because the 2 of you need to schedule time together. A lot of you are watching the scope right now on your phone, and guess what? It's because your phone is always with you. And not only is your phone always with you, but your life revolves around whatever the next alert is, whatever you put into your calendar. Tony and I scheduled the scope. We put it out on Instagram and on Facebook, and we're putting it out on Twitter. Why? Because we want people to schedule it and make it important. You and I both know that if you schedule an appointment for a doctor, or you schedule a business meeting, you're not going to miss that. Same thing with your spouse. They need to be that important that they get on your calendar. And yes, I am talking about scheduling sex. If you're going to do the 7 Days of Sex Challenge, you're actually going to have to pull out your calendars and see when there are those late night meetings, when the kids have activities, when you might need to get an early morning session in. And here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, Tony and Lisa, scheduling sex, no spontaneity, right? Well, we've been doing we've done the 7 Days of Sex Challenge now for 7 years. And we started, before we ever did the 7 Days of Sex Challenge, doing 60 days of sex. So let me tell you something, and I know Tony's going to jump in here in a second. You can still have a lot of spontaneity and creativity even when you're scheduling that time together.
Yeah, so like Elisa said, we've done the 7 Days of Sex Challenge 7 times, and each time is different. And scheduling, though, is of the utmost importance. If you want to have success with this, if you want to have success with 7 days of sex challenge, make sure you schedule it the time that you're going to be doing this. Because if not, then you're like, oh, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Most likely it's not going to happen, and you're going to be frustrated with yourself, with your spouse, and going, oh, we can't do this. So what we typically do is we just go out there and we just start looking at, okay, when's a week we're going to be available? Let's be available for each other. You know, if you know you're going to be traveling for 3 days out of the next week,
not a good week.
It's not a good week, so don't do it then. So, you know, just look at those calendars and make sure that you take the time to know and be cognizant of what's happening. Hey, your spouse, for you guys out there, your wife may be starting her period. Probably, you know, and maybe for her, that's just not a time that she likes to have sex. So probably not the best week to plan that out for.
Yeah, and the other thing with scheduling time together is it gives you the opportunity, like if you know you're going to pick the 7 days, you're going to pick your 7 days for next week, that's the week that you're not going to say yes to everybody else and then have to say no to your spouse because you're so tired. So,
right.
You know, make sure that when you're looking at that scheduling time, because that is what you absolutely need to do. Thank you, Kelly Haynes. We love that you think we're the real deal. Thank you so much.
What's up, brother? Oh, so good. That's my brother, Kelly, man. Oh,
good friend of ours. And so, you know, it's one of those things where when you make each other a priority, be it in your sex life or just, you know, even having a conversation, you're going to see tremendous benefits in your relationship. So that's the S. Let's move on to E.
Yep.
And E is all about enriching the relationship. Tony and I just celebrated 19 years, and I will tell you that over 19 years, there have definitely been times in our marriage when things have gotten a little stale.
Yeah.
Maybe a little stagnant, maybe a little boredom creeping in.
Totally.
And when you start going and saying, you know what, we're going to do the 7 days of sex challenge. Well, you could be looking at that going, okay, is this just going to be something that like, one more thing to do at the end of the day. Like I'm going to squeeze it in, you know, at 11:59. We've done that.
Yeah.
We've done 11:59. That counts. But really, you want to get involved in the creativity, and that's what enriching the relationship's about.
Yeah.
Most everybody that's jumping on this scope lives in a home that has more than one room, right? Like I'm going to guess that you have kitchens and living room, family room, in addition to your bedroom and maybe your bathroom, right?
Well, don't forget, when we were first married, we lived in a one-bedroom apartment, so we still had a bedroom.
We had the bathroom and the bedroom.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, so you can, you know, and the living room, you know, so you can get out and get
you
creative.
can get creative within the confines of where you live.
So change your scenery. Change the time of day. I mean, sometimes just enriching your sex life is, you know, if you're always a nighttime sex person, make it be morning sex.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony and I are particularly fond of morning sex because we're awake, and I haven't had enough thoughts run through my head yet in the morning that, like, I've got to spill them all out and use up all my words.
Right.
You know, so I'm much quieter in the morning in terms of conversation before sex. Change, like, we had the situation last week.
I want to say something, though, too. Even, like, candles. I mean,
Tony's a big fan of candles.
I mean, find those scents that
stimulate.
Yeah, that stimulate you. Oils, you know, those are always great to have. I mean, any of those things that enhance. And the one thing that Elise and I always say is that if it's cool between you, your spouse, and God, then it's good. Right. You know, if it's good with you guys and it enhances your relation, enhances your sexual intimacy, then go for it. Enjoy it. I will have to agree with Elisa. The morning sex is nice just because you are just sort of getting up. With those of you with little kids who tend to be knocking or, you know, running down the hallway, make sure your door is locked. If you don't have a lock on your door, put a lock on your door so you don't have to sweat that happening.
We'll be talking about locks on doors and other great things for the bedroom in another scope.
Yeah.
One of the other ways that you can enrich the relationship, tapping into this E here, is if you typically come to bed with pajamas on or your old ratty t-shirt or maybe the sweatpants that probably have seen better days, one way that you can change it up and bring a little spark and sizzle back in is come to bed naked.
Yeah, and you know what? We just did a post on that, and we did a post on that topic, walking around naked in your bedroom with your spouse, as well as a show. So if you go to oneextraordinarymarriage.com, you can find those. If you go onto iTunes, you can subscribe to our show there, One Extraordinary Marriage Show, and we talk 30 minutes on just, you know, taking off your clothes around each other.
Why would you do it?
You know,
and how
why
good
not
is it?
do it? And, you know, come to bed naked. Don't come to bed fully clothed all the time. You know, and I want to just say this though too. There are times when Elisa will come to bed naked. I'm sitting there reading a book, like I'm like this, and believe me, I'm catching her on the side of my eyes. I may not be making a reaction right there at that point in time, but believe me, I see her walking in the room naked.
It registers.
Yes.
It absolutely registers. So the last letter in the word sex is your X. And whenever I talk about X's, I always ask for just a little bit of grace on this one because there aren't that many, great sex words that start with X. So I make it EX. So exchange your roles. Now, early on, probably I won't even say early on, it's like the first 11 years of our marriage, Tony was always the pursuer and I was always the queen or the princess, just waiting for him to come and pursue me. And if we were going to have sex, well, that was up to me, right? Like I either did or I didn't want to. And what we found when we did our first challenge, when we did the 60 Days of Sex challenge, was that that model wasn't going to work for 60 Days of Sex. It simply wasn't. Like I was going to have to actually step out and initiate sex. And that was kind of an uncomfortable, awkward, like, ooh, what are we doing? How are we going to do this type of thing? Right. And yet, let me tell you something. For those of you that are typically the one waiting to be pursued, if you change things up, if you exchange roles and you start pursuing your love, it's going to completely change the dynamic. And you're going to have to do this in the 7 Days of Sex challenge. Otherwise, it's going to be a really long week for one person, the pursuer, and the one that's being pursued is going to be like, okay, here we go again.
And look at it this way, when you're doing it, you're going to get out of your comfort zone. If you're the one who doesn't pursue, you're the one who doesn't initiate. And if you want to learn you want to learn ways to initiate, we have our top 10 ways to initiate sex. You can get that at oneextraordinarymarriage.com/initiate. And there are top 10 ways that you can initiate sex. And we put this together because we realize that this is a tough thing for a lot of us. Even for us guys. Yes, even for us guys. For Elisa for sure, because she, like she said, in the first 11 years, and even now, there are just times I'm like, are you initiating? What are you doing? What
does this look like? Is this? And that's one of the things that you have to share. For those of you that tend not to initiate, that you tend to be the pursued instead of the pursuer, you might have to tell your spouse, look, if I do this, like if I touch you on the arm, if I plant a big kiss on your face, if I come right out and say, do you want to have sex? I mean, sometimes it's that blatant, and let's not leave anything to chance. Let's just tell each other, look, these are my signals. If I'm giving you a signal, it means I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Right.
So we've, to wrap this up, because I know everybody's got to get back and, jump into life, but I want you to understand how important it is and these top 3 reasons why you need the 7 Days of Sex challenge. Your marriage needs this. Mm-hmm. Too many marriages, and I know this because I coach couples around the world, too many marriages are suffering from a lack of intimacy, a lack of physical intimacy. And one of the quickest ways that you can jumpstart it is to, did you just remember something?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay, he's going to be right back because he's there. Too many couples are suffering from a lack of intimacy. And what that's doing is it's driving a wedge between the two of you. It's pulling you further apart. And so jump-starting your intimacy by jumping into the 7 Days of Sex challenge is a way for you to say, you know what, we're going to kick this off. We're going to make a commitment to doing this. We're going to say, you know what, for 7 days, here's back, for 7 days, we're going to make one another a priority. And I will tell you, we have had couples, the first year we ever did this with our audience, there was one couple that wrote in and they shared how they had been, the wife had been suffering from postpartum depression. They had been, about as far apart emotionally in terms of connection as they had ever been in their marriage. And the wife decided to do this challenge, guys. And when she jumped into this, she didn't even tell her husband, right? And on the back end of the 7 days, he's the one that's writing us the letter that says, you know what? Yeah. Thank you for giving us our marriage back. Thank you for giving me my wife back. Yeah. Thank you for bringing the connection. And it wasn't even his idea. He just, found himself in this place. So, bring back the connection in your marriage. Bring back the connection with your spouse. Rediscover one another again. And make sure that you get started on it this week. At least the planning part. This may not be a good week for you, but make sure that this is the week that you start doing the planning so that you can put it into your marriage.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you one bonus because I think this is the key to having great sex, period, with your spouse, and completing the 7 Days of Sex challenge. It's your emotional intimacy. It's getting connected emotionally. It's talking to each other. More than just what's for dinner and how was work and how are the kids, but truly diving in. And that can be at any time. I mean, any time of the day. It could be through, texting, it could be on the phone, it could be face to face, wherever that works. But you gotta start talking to each other more than just the superficial, surface talk. And so one thing we want to do though on all of our Periscopes is give you guys an opportunity to check out some of our stuff. So right now what we got is, boom, 2 ways to get going. So one is emotional intimacy, where we were talking about connect like you did when you first met. Is awesome. It's 101 proven questions for couples, so that way you can start asking those questions. And then we have our book, The 7 Days of Sex Challenge. Man, this is all the how-to that you can use for each day. So every day that you do the sex challenge, there's something new you can do. And this is a way that each of you can connect with each other throughout the week. So to get these are typically $34 if you buy them, through us plus shipping. We want to run a deal for you guys, $20 for both of them. Physical books, we'll ship them to you plus shipping. Go to oneextraordinarymarriage.com/periscope and you'll get taken to the page where you can grab both of these. Like I said, for $20. What a way to enhance. I mean, just this alone. Start asking each other questions. One a day. 101 days of just being able to connect with each other. And then this piece comes in. It really does. It's something that Elise and I have done for the last 8 years, sharing with the one family around the world. And we have seen the benefit, not just for us, but so many of them. And we hope that you guys can do it too.
So I want to know, those of you that are on, who's going to take up this challenge? Who's thinking, you know what, sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks, me and my spouse are going to do the 7 Days of Sex Challenge? Anyone? Anyone got some love for that? Love to see the hearts flying by too for those. All right, you guys. Oh, there they come. Some people are at least thinking about it.
Yeah.
Some people are thinking about it.
Awesome. Hey, thanks you guys. This is new for us. And me, yeah, right on. There we go.
Oh, it's got some hands being raised.
Is that hands raised? I'm going to give a high five to that hand. Right on. This is new for us, you guys. Like we said at the onset of this Periscope, we've been doing the One Extraordinary Marriage show. We released episode 292 actually yesterday. So we've been doing it 5.5. It's almost 6 years of doing it. Episode 300 is going to come up in December.
Love all the hearts. Thank you.
So this is new. And we just want to hear back from you guys. If you, at any point in time, you want to connect with us, info@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. We really want to connect with the one family. And for us, this is a way that we can really do that, bring a lot of what we talk about, what we share, have conversation with you guys. One of our dreams has always been to do it like a call-in show. And I think through this medium, we can do something almost as similar, where you guys can ask questions. We can have a time which just is a Q&A. But to do that, I'm on episode 26. I'm new. Awesome. Bless you, man. Awesome. I love it.
That's fabulous. And actually, you just mentioned Q&A. If there are any questions about the 7 Days of Sex Challenge before we hop off the scope, we'd love to take your questions right now. If there's something you've been thinking about, if there's a logistical question, I'm telling you, after 7 years and the 60 Days of Sex Challenge, we've probably faced almost every logistical, child, scheduling,
and here's something I will say, because a lot of people will start the 7 Days of Sex Challenge, something comes up. Something happens, you fall off, you get 3-4 days in and it just falls apart. We've been there. We get it. It doesn't mean that you can't try it again. It doesn't mean that you can't pick it up next month. You know what? It just means it didn't work that one time. And we've been there ourselves. And so we've experienced both the high of, being able to complete 7 of them, but we've also experienced sort of the, gosh, it just didn't work. So don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on your marriage if you don't make it the full 7 days the first time, the second time, the third time, whatever it may be. So before we get off, though, again, oneextraordinarymarriage.com/periscope. Get you both Connect Like You Did and the 7 Days of Sex Challenge. Those are the actual books. These are not ebooks or audio books. These will be sent to you. And we'll get all that information. We'll get those out to you. We love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on Periscope, and we look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you for all the hearts. Take care.